Welcome, mes amis, my friends, to part 2 of the WHET Owl. You saw the first part, just a very basic beginning. Again, right here, mostly what we're going to work on is the head, what I'm going to show you. You got to get the head first in order to get the rest of the body in proportion. At least for me, I had to think it that way. All right, remember I just started out with a block of wood and just using hand tools. Right? So, here's the picture. And now let's get started. Let's take a look at the first thing I did here. Now the last time you saw I had cut a little bit of the eye, a hole for the eye, and I started to work back. Now you look back again and see I'm going just a little bit further, all right? Okay, you can see that it's smoother. I went a little bit further back around it. I have to keep drawing the picture on it now. Sometimes I'm cutting it away, or I'm just rubbing it away with my hands or something, but I'm always redrawing the picture so I can stay and keep in mind where I am and try to keep the proportion going. It's real easy to get out of proportion, and something's too big, too little. When it's too big, in fact, right now it's too big. Everything is too big, which is good, because I can take some away, and you're going to see a little bit more as that goes. But I went a little bit further back, and I rounded the head a little bit more. All right, now look, you can see on the bottom, I cut a little bit off. Actually, I used a software, the little edge of that, made it a little quicker. Right, but I am still working and pushing it back, and I'm rounding it off a little bit more. It's just a small step at a time. All right, as I said, I do the tools. I'm going to show you some of the tools from time to time that I use. I like this a lot. I have a set of rasp. Rockler makes this really nice set. All right, on this next picture, you're going to see I have it laying across the owl that I'm working on. Just so you can see it is pretty long. One side is kind of rounded and the other side of it is flat. Right, I find I use both a lot of that one. This can take a lot off at once but still keep it smooth, and you generally will not be taking too much off at once. Take a look. Now you see, all right, I did a real close-up here coming up next, so you can see a little bit more. It looks pretty rough, but I'm pushing back. I'm just continuing one step at a time, moving it further and further and more rounded off in the back. Now you can see I've really cut back on it. I've rounded it further back, but I had to keep redrawing. I cut away my drawing. I shaved away the drawing. You have to keep redrawing. I keep the pictures around me, and I keep redrawing it so that I know where I am with it. There are certain things you can adjust and kind of keep in proportion, but certain things you take off too much and it's gone. It becomes kindling now. Well, you saw in the last one, I started to cut away the nose. I started to move that back. From there, then I can really start to move the whole thing back a little further and get it in proportion. Now, in the next picture, what I'm showing you are more of the tools I use. I have the rasp. I have sandpaper. I have the gouging tools. I have some of the flex tools that allow me to dig in a little bit at a time. All right, now, all of that is very important, and I'm switching back and forth. I'm always using different ones. By the way, when you're using a knife, use a steel mesh glove. I can tell you right now, I've cut myself, I've severed the nerve in my thumb. Even if I'm just passing by thinking I'm going to do one little thing and then I'll just move on, that's the time I slip right into my hand. You can get a steel mesh glove at hardware stores. You can order it online. Use it every time. My strong advice to you. Okay, look. On this one, you see I've rounded it more. I've got it further back. I redrew some of the lines Not that many yet, but I'm just wanted to show you I started to put it in there, right? Because this next step is really important. Right? This is going to keep me in what I need to do with the face and how I'm going to do it. The face of the owl is really important when it comes to, you want it to look like the owl, right? Right, so I've rounded it more, I've shaped back, I've drawn what I'm going to call the eyebrow and all that. You got to keep all that in shape, all right? So I started to draw the lines. Thing I did next, in order to get in the lines, get the feathers showing like I wanted to on that face, around the eyes, the eyebrow, I use the tool I like to use is the wood burner. Now, here's a picture of the pin that I have, and it's very important that you have temperature control. I don't want to actually burn. I don't want a brown mark, a scorch mark. I have that very fine point that you will see, and I have it just hot enough to indent into the wood. It doesn't burn it, it doesn't leave it brown. You don't have to worry if it does it a little bit, because your paint's going to cover that up with no problem. But try to find the temperature where the wood just sinks away, and now you have the lines where each feather is. Right? It takes a little patience. Right? Test it on other wood, but test it on light wood. You're using Boston wood, you got a spare piece of Boston wood, that might help. Although, beware, because the older the tree, the younger the tree, it's all going to be a little bit different. But you give it a try, and you learn. Generally speaking, even if you turn it pretty brown, you're going to cover it up with the paint. Okay, take a close look at this. All those lines, that's not pencil lines anymore. That's right in the line, right where I indented or I cut the line in with my wood burner. Right? I did draw it in. Get you a good artistic eraser, and it will erase all the pencil marks. Don't just use that yellow, orangish at the end of your regular pencil eraser, all right? It's just going to stay in there. It's going to grind in the wood, and it looks rousy, and it's hard to paint over. Don't use that. Spend the extra dollar on on a good artistic eraser. It's worth it. Believe me, you're not gonna be happy otherwise. So you can see I've got the lines in. I've got it a little deeper around above the nose or above the beak. It doesn't have a nose. It does have a nose, but above the beak, between the brows, I want a little deeper, and I'm even gonna go deeper later. All right, but this is to get a guide for me and to see how I have it going. You can see one side is smooth. The other side is not, because I didn't do the other side yet, all right? But I'm getting it in, I'm gradually getting the face more and more where I want it to be. Okay, now, notice this picture coming up. Take a good look. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stop right now, take a look, and then I'm going to come back and I want to see if you catch on what I'm going to tell you about. All right, did you notice on the right side of the owl, all those lines I had put in, marked in with my wood burner, is gone. It's a smoothie now. It's further back. All right, when I had done it before, it wasn't quite right. When I stepped back and looked at it, I said, no, that face needs to come back. It's not all out front, not this owl. This owl's not like that. So I went further back, so I shaved it away. You gotta be willing to cut some away with what you did, and this is what I did. So now the smoothie changed sides. On the other side, I got it further back, and I started to carve in, all right, the way the feathers are gathering and all this, and you can see some of, now first it starts with maybe the wood burner, but I use one of my flex tools, a real thin knife, all right, and I cut in a little, to cut a little wider and deeper, and then I will add all the little cross feathers going in a moment. That will be the next step. That's the end of part 2. Okay, I don't want to make this too long. We're going to play a little music. I'm going to show you. These are all these pictures going to pass by again. All right, a little music playing in the background. You can listen to it, watch the pictures, or you can just turn me off right now and check me on part 3. Part 3 will be the final. See you later, my friend.